In today's video, I'll be taking a look at Brotato. Brotato is a top-down shooter roguelike in the same vein as Vampire Survivors. It was created by a solo developer named Thomas Gervrud, and I probably butchered that name. It was made using the Godot engine and is one of their most successful releases. Brotato has a very simple art style, but I think it looks great. It reminds me of the old Flash games I would play at school. The sound and music are all simple yet well done. The game truly is remarkable for being developed by a single person. PSN Profiles rates this a 2 out of 10 difficulty and an estimated completion time of 13 hours. Now, to be transparent, I have no idea how long it took me to platinum, as I have spent hundreds of hours playing this. That 13 hours does feel a little short though. The trophy list overall is pretty simple. You need to finish the game with nearly every potato, which are the characters, and you need to complete the game once on all 6 difficulties. There are some miscellaneous trophies to do things like reach a certain speed. However, doing these trophies will unlock a potato, and you need to unlock nearly all of them for the trophies. The game has 6 difficulty options, which are 0 to 5. In regards to the trophies, as I said earlier, you need to complete each difficulty level once. This can be done with any character. The difficulty levels don't just make the enemies harder, they actually change the type of enemies you encounter and also add mini bosses into the equation. For me, I wanted to complete difficulty 5 with every character as I enjoyed the game so much, but that is not needed for the platinum. On a side note, I will say that there is a secondary difficulty, which is that not all the characters are created equal. Some are a lot more difficult than others to play. For me, I found this challenge rewarding and fun. For your first playthrough, I wouldn't recommend what I'm about to say, but if you find yourself really struggling with a character, Google a build for them and someone will have worked out some crazy combination to make the character strong. For me, I enjoy finding my own builds and strategies. However, once I had finished the game, I did go back and check out some people's OP builds just for fun. The game has a huge selection of characters to choose from. For the game being so simple, I found it crazy how each potato felt different to play. For instance, one character would increase its damage every time it took damage, so at the start of the wave you would want to take as much survivable damage as possible, and then use that accumulated damage to destroy the aliens. A different character could hold up to 24 weapons at once, but would not gain any stat increases on level ups. The difference in characters was one of the joys of the game, as each time I played it, it felt different. The good thing about this game is that depending on your preferred playstyle, there will definitely be a character for you. Normally, here is where I would go in detail onto the story of Brotato and give my thoughts on it. For all the hours I have played, I do not have a single idea what the story is, if there even is one. I think it's potatoes fighting aliens. I think that's it. Brotato is a roguelike, which means all your progress is lost once your character dies. However, for me, the game is each single run. There is an overarching progression of unlocking each potato and difficulty, but the main progression is found within each separate run. When you kill an alien, it will drop a coin. It's a little green thing, which I am going to call a coin. It also gives you experience. So there are 2 resources you collect, money and experience. When you level up, you get the option at the end of a wave to spend that level up on stat increases. These are stats like maximum HP, attack speed, lifesteal and armor, for instance. You will then enter the shop and you can spend the money you collected. The shop will sell weapons and items. Weapons are exactly what they sound like, and there is a large selection of different weapons available. Weapons also have their own progression system. They have different tiers of rarity, which increases their damage, etc. You can increase a weapon's tier by combining two of them of the same tier, and it will become one weapon a tier higher. Items range from hats that increase your character's luck, to a woolly mammoth that increases your melee damage and health. These items have their own tiers like weapons, from white to red, but they cannot be upgraded like weapons can. Brotato's gameplay is really simple, but for some reason highly addictive. All you control is the character's movement. It uses its weapons on its own, and it automatically picks up items without you needing to press any extra buttons. However, this simple explanation doesn't really do its gameplay justice. You will be constantly chased by aliens, so you'll need to dodge them and the bullets they fire at you, while aligning yourself so your weapons can strike back. The gameplay is a lot more in depth than it sounds, and it feels very smooth and at times extremely challenging. The second part of this gameplay is the strategic choices you make on level ups and shop visits. Correctly building your character is a whole different side of the game, and at times I found the theory crafting of the character choices to be just as addictive as the minute to minute gameplay. Now for the positives. The game is one of the most addictive games I have ever played. I sat down at one point a couple of days ago to record some extra footage for this video, and I realised 5 hours later I was still playing. I discovered Brotato after playing Vampire Survivors, and technically Vampire Survivors is a much better game, but for some reason I platinumed Vampire Survivors and haven't touched it since. But Brotato I still play, and I want to go play it now. The trophy list is another positive for me. I much prefer a trophy list that I can just sit down and play the game. The abundance of characters and options for those characters is another huge positive. The price has to be mentioned here as well. I think its full price is between £5 and £8, but I got it in a sale for maybe £2. I did spend full price for all of the DLCs though. That value I think is a huge bargain. I would have gladly spent about 50 quid for the whole package. Now for the negatives. I'm going to keep this as short as possible because I really am struggling to find anything negative to say. Maybe it's a bit too addictive? Brotato is probably one of the top 5 games I have played in recent years. To give a little background, I originally played Brotato on my Xbox. I 100% completed it then. When I made the decision to go back to mainly PlayStation games and get the platinums, I knew it was one of the games I had to platinum. I completed the platinum and then found out the PS4 version of the game and the PS5 version have separate trophy lists, so I platinumed it again for a second time. That includes completing all of the DLCs in both versions. So in all, I have 100% completed Brotato 3 different times, and I am slightly upset I don't have a reason to do it again. I can't recommend Brotato highly enough. I think everyone can play it. It's simple to get into, and if you don't want to theory craft your own characters, look up a build online and just enjoy the game. You can easily get 20 hours of playtime from it for such a low price. So if you haven't guessed it by now, I think Brotato is one hell of a game. Thanks for watching, and if you made it all the way to the end, consider subscribing and leaving a comment. It really helps the channel grow. I'd love to hear your thoughts. See you in the next one.